Welcome back to the Unpack Mindset, folks. This is Jesse, your host. So let's talk about California today, folks. Not the postcard fantasy, not the PR brochure, not the innovation capital of the world, right? That that fucking tagline that people keep recycling, right? I'm talking about the real California, the one where every year the cost of living goes up, the services go down, and the people in charge keep telling us it's part of some bold new vision, right? Now recently I've been listening to some podcasters, right, talk about you know the cost of living in California, and they're talking about, just get better, man, just stop fucking bitching, stop complaining about everything, get better and start making more money. You know, some of these podcasters, man, make a lot of good points, right? They have a lot of great content, right? But I'm gonna be the first one to say that if you think that it's that it's just a linear problem, like it's just a get better problem, or stop bitching, stop complaining, man, I'm just gonna call you out on that shit and tell you that's the kind of thinking that keeps these these politicians in California building these bridges to nowhere, and not fixing the infrastructure, and and everywhere you go you got potholes just messing up your tires, your suspension, and you're the reason why, man, because you know what, they know that you're going to keep just paying whatever you got to pay, and you don't really give a shit because you don't give a shit about anybody else. you know it's I'm gonna sum it up like this, man. If you feel that way, I'm gonna say that you're just nothing but a political chump. That's what you are, man. You don't care about nobody. You don't care about anybody else. And yeah, I believe that you got to work, man, and you got to get out there and grind and make your money, man. But to go out and just say like you don't care what you pay in taxes, and the cost of living in California, that's just straight up bullshit, man. You know, um, right now, these are the reasons why Gavin Newsom and his administration keeps coming out with these different ways to just take your money, right? Because now they decided the next brilliant idea is to tax digital software, cloud apps, subscriptions, tools, and that's going to affect every business creator, and every worker, right, that depends on this stuff. They're calling it modernization, man. And why do they always do this shit? This administration, they always brand this terrible idea with something that sounds like it's all rosy, right? Like it's progressive, like it's gonna make life better for all of us, right? And they're calling it like updating the tax code. But let's be honest, this is a cash grab, folks. Plain and simple, a desperate attempt to plug holes in a budget that leaks like a sinking ship. They're already bringing in enough money, man. I mean, at what point are people gonna start saying, hey, you know what? Um, nah, man, this is bullshit, right? Instead of fixing the spending problem, instead of addressing the billions that vanish into projects that never get finished, instead of explaining where the money went, like for the Palisades disaster, and the bridge to nowhere, and the homelessness funds that evaporated, they're reaching into the digital economy and saying, yeah, we'll take a cut from that too. I mean, you gotta be a moron to go ahead and say, oh, you know what, just get better, like just to keep going around and saying and just telling people, get better, just get tougher, man, just figure out a new way to make money. Nah, man, that's not how it works. It's like, you know and we got to ask ourselves, who's pushing it, right? It's the same political ecosystem that's been running California into the ground for years. An ecosystem built on insiders, consultants, grifters, and people who will vote for whatever hands them a pack of cigarettes and $5. It's crazy. It's crazy to me to think that some people live in this bubble where they're like, I'm not affected by this. I don't care. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? I guess it's just one of those things that you're not affected by it until you have to experience it, something like that. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like a closed loop machine where the same people rotate through the same positions, pushing the same policies and producing the same failures, folks. And they're sitting there calling it progress, right? And people are stupid enough to fall for it, right? I mean, this isn't leadership. This is maintenance of power, right? And the real world consequences, folks, they're not theatrical. They're not abstract. They're not policy debates. They're your life, right? Businesses will pay more, creators will pay more, startups will pay more, consumers will pay more. And California already bleeding companies is already bleeding companies, right? They're leaving to Texas, Nevada, Arizona, and it's about to accelerate, right? I mean, this isn't rocket science, folks. Here's the truth: you can't tax your way into innovation. You can't regulate your way into prosperity, and you can't keep pushing the very industries that built your economy and expect them to stay loyal, right, and stick around, because they're going to move, they're going to leave. This digital tax isn't modernization. It's not reform. It's not a vision, and it's definitely short-sighted. It's desperate, and I don't know. I just think it's economically illiterate. And the worst part is they're already grooming the next one, another fresh face, right? It's just a Newsom 2.0. Same donors, same consultants, same ideology, same playbook. It's like a sequel that nobody asked for. But Sacramento is ready to force feed it to you like it's the next blockbuster. We need to stop being chumps, folks. We need to stop, believing these grifters, right? California doesn't need another Newsom. California doesn't need another polished smile reading off a teleprompter, and it doesn't need another individual who talks about equity while the middle class disappears, or innovation while businesses flee, or progress while the streets crumble. California needs accountability. It needs transparency. It needs leaders who actually understand the real world and not just a political bubble. And most of all, California needs to wake up. People don't start if people don't start demanding better. And what I mean by better is we need to, like, we don't need to be looking for nicer speeches or better branding or slicker ads. I mean, we need actual leadership, right? Because if we don't get actual people who actually want to lead, we're not going to have changes. The taxes keep rising, the services keep failing, the the money keeps disappearing, and the same political machine keeps grinding on. Fueled by insiders again. And it's just a big machine, right? It's just a big machine. That it's going to keep. I don't know what it's going to take for these voters to wake up, right? Because they're just right now. It just seems like people are just happy with the crumbs. The state deserves better. The people deserve better, and the future deserves better than another round of the same recycled leadership that got us here. I feel like California needs to wake up. Because if we don't demand better now, you know, we're going to get exactly what Sacramento wants you to have: another Newsom, another cycle, and another decade of decline, folks. anyways, those are my thoughts for today. And if you like my content, subscribe, like, and share. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good night.